The Arizona podcast is brought to you by Triumph Protective Coatings. They specialize in concrete polish, epoxy flooring systems, micro top floors and walls, and self leveling underlays. They service all of California and they are an awesome company. They speak Spanish and they do amazing work. Check them out at triumph_coatings on Instagram. And if you use the promo code ArrowsUp, you get 10% off. So check them out. Arrows Up Podcast, solo pod today. NBA restart as we get ready for the second half of the regular season and some Champions League. So that's what I have for you today. Enjoy the pod. All-Star break is just about over. Games will be back on Thursday for the NBA. And we will head into the final stretch of this NBA season that is definitely going to have its ups and downs. And we've played more than half the games up until this point. And we've seen just how important the regular season has been for some of these teams in terms of the chemistry that has been built and just the growing pains that we've witnessed from some of the teams. But I want to start off with the All-Star game that everyone complained about. Nobody was happy because it's an All-Star game that very little effort, very little competition was displayed. And there was this report that came out that a few legends went in there, or former players, some legends, some former players, went in there and talked with the players about the competitive spirit that they need to have. Andre Iguodala and Larry Bird being two of the guys. And I think the problem here is us, because we're expecting, or we want to have a very competitive game, and that's just not going to happen in 2024 with this NBA, with these NBA players that are more about their brand, more about their business, more about their image than they are about competing day in and day out in a basketball game. And the days of these guys that eat and breathe and live basketball are over. No longer are we going to get those type of guys, because even the guys that are like that, Giannis, for example, he even comes out and says, I don't watch basketball. I don't do that. So the love of the game is no longer a thing that we're seeing. And so because of that, the competition falls, because these guys don't see themselves as these mega athletes first, or they don't see themselves as basketball players first. They see themselves as brands, and they see themselves as the business first. And because of that, we're going to continue to get all-star games like the ones we've got in the last 5 years, where the focus is not the game, the focus is not competition, the focus is them and nothing else. And so I know that the easy thing is how can we fix it? Because that's what we want to do. We want to fix this. But there is no fixing it, because in order to fix it, you need competitive players. You need brand new players. And so you kind of just need a whole new set of players that are going to do that. And so until that happens, this is what we're going to get. So the All-Star game sucked. I didn't watch it. And I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I didn't waste my time because everyone that did watch it wasn't happy with it. And so that's the way to fix it. Get new players. Let's go to the NBA. This is where we're at. We have played this season more than half of the way. There's 26 games left in the regular season, give or take, depending on the team. And heading down the stretch in the Western Conference, we are now looking at who is going to matter in April and in May and in June. And this is where we're at. Number 1 seed right now, leading everyone by a game and a half, is the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the Minnesota Timberwolves stand at 39-16. They have played a really, really good first half. They had a really impressive win last Monday. We're at the Clippers, beating them by 21 points. And they've been rolling. And the one thing that keeps me, and I'll give you why I think they can win the West and why I think they won't. And why I think they can is because they're versatile and they're big and they're athletic. And so the versatility is one thing that Minnesota has that no other team has, because no other team in the West can play both big and small and can be athletic yet long. And because of that, that gives them a huge advantage. They won't win it because their guys are not proven. And I think that's, as we get into the months of basketball where the details matter and you have to be disciplined and you have to be smart and you can't give away fouls and you can't get in trouble on the court and you can't cost your team a game because you had foul trouble. That has Minnesota written all over them because they are a team filled with flaws. They are a team filled with guys that are going to make mistakes and filled with guys that don't have self-control. At least they've never showed that they have the self-control to live in the postseason. And because of that, I think it's going to make it really, really difficult to do much once you get to a series where the guys are going to try to get you to do dumb things and make dumb mistakes. The Thunder. Oklahoma City, 37-17, second seed in the West as of now. Now, the reason why the Thunder will win the West is because the Thunder are really young. And because they're really young, they have the inexperience, and it's almost they're too young to know. And that's why they will win, because they can get a good possession every single time down the court. They won't have the baggage of getting there and failing like the Clippers, like the T-Wolves, like the Suns, like the Mavericks. They won't have the pressure of having to do it like the Lakers, like the Warriors. They won't have the pressure of having to prove that they can do it like the Pelicans. And they won't have the pressure of having to show that they are more than just a regular season team like the Kings. And so the Thunder have a game that plays well in the postseason because they have a really good front court, really good half court game. And because they have a good half court game and they can get good shots consistently, that produces and that leads to good basketball. Now, why they won't win the West is because they don't have enough coverage for Chet. And because of that, because they don't have enough coverage for Chet Holmgren, and they don't have another big man. It's why they won't, because they're too thin up front, and they'll play against the T-Wolves or the Nuggets or the Lakers, and they'll be too small for those teams. And that's why they won't win the West. The Clippers. The Clippers will win the West because they are the best team in the West. Best roster. And if they play the way they've been playing, now they're the third seed, then they will beat everybody. And so what we have here is a Clippers team with all the baggage, all the franchise baggage of a franchise that always gets close and chokes. The baggage of Kawhi and Paul George, who have gotten injured and can't stay healthy. The baggage of Russell Westbrook failing and having bad postseason exits. The baggage of James Harden and his woes in the playoffs. So, because of the baggage, they won't win the title. They won't win the West. Nuggets. The Nuggets will win the West because they are the defending champions, and they have Nikola Jokic, and that's why they'll win the West. They won't win the West because their bench is inconsistent. They're good sometimes, they're not good sometimes. And in order to win a title, you need the bench, you need the others, like Shaq calls them, to step up. And the Nuggets have very inconsistent play from the others, and that's why they won't win the West. And that's the top four. So I'll give you the top four for that. I'll give you the Lakers because I'm a Laker fan. It's my podcast, and I can do that. The Lakers are the 9th seed. They've won 3 straight. They're playing better. Now, the Lakers enter this next stretch of games where I told you after February 8th, that's going to be when we're going to see the Lakers. The Lakers didn't make a move. And so Lakers start on Thursday at Golden State, Friday at home versus the Spurs, then at Suns on Sunday, at Clippers Wednesday, home versus the Wizards, home versus the Nuggets, home versus the Thunder, home versus the Kings, home versus the Bucks, home versus the T-Wolves. And that stretch right there, from February 22nd to March 13th, because they're on the road versus the Kings and at home versus the Warriors. So from February 22nd to March 16th, that's going to be the Lakers season right there. And if the Lakers can withstand and come out of that looking good with a plus 500 record, making up ground in the standings, then this Laker team will be just a handful to deal with in the playoffs. As it stands now, they're the 9th seed. And I think the Lakers need to get into the playoffs to avoid the extra games. They got into a play-in last year, and it kind of was to the benefit. And it could be to the benefit again, if you really look at what's going on. Because if you are 8th seed, say you stay the 8th seed, say the T-Wolves get the number 1 seed, and you win the 8th seed. Now you got the T-Wolves, or you get the Thunder, you get the 7th. And you kind of you're banking on the Thunder being too young. You're banking on the T-Wolves doing dumb things. And now you have a situation where you, again, are upsetting the top seeds and you're getting far, and now you have a favorable bracket. And the Lakers will win the West because the Lakers will play their best ball down the stretch, because LeBron will hone in on the last part of the season. AD has been good and healthy. Reeves will continue to play off of his slump and be better. D'Angelo Russell will continue his hot shooting. Rui will continue to produce at a high level. The Lakers will get Vando back in the next few weeks, and they will get Gabe Benson back in the next few weeks. And now they'll have shooting, they'll have length, they'll have perimeter defense, and the Lakers will win the West. The Lakers will not win the West because Vando won't come back, and because D'Lo will be inconsistent again, and because AD has been so healthy that the luck will run out. But the Lakers are in prime position to make a run and catch the Kings, catch the Mavericks, the Pelicans, and get all the way up to the 3rd seed. So we'll see. Up to the 6th seed, sorry. And even the Suns, 33-22. So it's not over yet. The Lakers, I know everyone's penciling them into the playing game, but the Lakers can make a run and get up there in the seeds. And so that's where we're at. In the East, we have the Celtics, 43-12, best team in the East, best team in basketball, I think. The Celtics will win the East because, like I said, they are the best team. They've been the best team since the beginning. They'll continue to be the best team, and they'll ride that all the way to the East, to the NBA Finals. Now, the Celtics will not win the East because, well, Porzingis will not stay healthy. And because he won't stay healthy, the Celtics will not make the finals because Porzingis is the X factor. Porzingis is the reason, or will be the reason, why the Celtics make the finals or why they don't make the finals. His health. Because he makes them super duper special. The Cavaliers are your surprising. I say surprising because I don't think anybody was expecting them to be this right here, especially not the way things started. But number 2 seed, 36-17. They got their team kind of fell into place when Mobley was out and Garland was out, and it became a team that found their groove, found how to play together. Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen kind of figured it out, and they've kind of fallen into place since then. And they will win the East because they have the versatility on defense to do so. Their defense will guide them to the NBA Finals. They won't win it because they will be really easy to stop, and they are still a soft team. And a team like the Knicks, like the Bucks, like the Celtics, like the Heat, will be able to out-physical them. The Bucks, 3rd seed, 35-21. They fired the coach. Doc Rivers is their coach now. They're 3-7 with Doc, though. The Bucks will win the East because Giannis will be the best player in the Eastern Conference, and he will be too much for everyone. Dame will give them the spacing that they need, and you won't be able to sell out on Giannis because of Dame, and they'll make it to the finals. They won't win the East because, well, their defense is horrendous, and they won't be able to guard anybody, and they'll be in shootout games. And the thing about shootouts, even if you have the weapons, sometimes the shot doesn't go in when you need it to go in. So that's why the Bucks won't win it. The Knicks 33-22. They've been a surprising team this season. It's all worked. They've kind of struggled the last 10 games, 5-5, lost 4 in a row. But the Knicks will win the East. Not win the title. Will win the East because they have, like the T-Wolves, the most versatile roster in the East. And because of that, they'll win the East. They have enough scoring, enough defense. They're tough. And they have the home court. And that's why they'll win the East. They won't win it because their scoring is single-handedly reliant on one guy. And that's why they won't win. Give you one more. The 76ers, 32-22. The 76ers were one of the top 2 teams in the East, top 3. Joel Embiid went down. He was, honestly, had he played like the 65 games required, he probably was going to win the MVP again. But the 76ers will win the East because Joel Embiid will come back in time, and he will be the difference maker. And he will be rested and ready to go for the playoffs. And Joel Embiid will be the reason why the Sixers win the East. They won't win these because Joel Embiid will come back and he won't be ready. He will be out of shape because he hasn't played. Joel Embiid will be the reason why they win. Joel Embiid will be the reason why they lose. And that's where we're at in the NBA. That's what you got to look for, what you got to look at. The Heat, I guess, are still alive because of the Heat. You got to give them that respect. The Warriors are still kicking, so you got to kind of give them a little life too. But besides that, that's where we're at. Who can win it? Why they win it? Why they won't win it? This is your Champions League before I let you go. We had Champions League today. Not Lazio. Inter Milan played Atletico. Atletico losing at Inter, and in a game that Inter, they just have such a nice style to play, and it's just contrasting Atletico, who's just like brute force and not that fun to watch. Very uneventful game, but Inter pulls it out 1-0. The other game, PSV Dortmund, questionable penalty given to PSV. 1-1 draw, and that's where we're at. Tomorrow, Napoli, Barcelona, Porto, Arsenal. Two very good games. Hopefully they're more eventful than the ones we saw today, but that's where we're with the Champions League. So that's it. That's the pod. NBA, Champions League. I'll have another pod for you on Thursday, but we have basketball coming back Thursday, so it's going to be quiet. So enjoy it. Watch some shows, read a book, drink some coffee, go out, take a walk, go to the gym, do something. NBA will be back in a few days. That's the pod. Thanks for listening. That's the pod. We are brought to you by, as always, Triumph Protective Coatings. They specialize in concrete polish, epoxy flooring systems, micro top floors and walls, and self-leveling underlays. They service California, and they speak Spanish. You can follow them, Triumph_coatings on Instagram, and you get a 10% off if you use the promo code ArrowsUp. You can also reach them on Gmail, triumphprotectivecoatings@gmail.com. All right, that's the pod. Thank you, Angel, for the music. Thank you to you for listening. I will have another pod on Thursday with David, so stay tuned for that. And of course, the Sunday pods with Harry that are back. Good baseball stuff coming this week as guys are doing interviews and fun stuff is being said. So Sunday's pod with Harry should be a good one, like always. So thank you for listening. Arrows Up Podcast. You can check us out, Arrows Up, on Instagram. You can listen to the Arrows Up Podcast anywhere you get your pods. So please rate, review, subscribe. And I will talk to you on Thursday. Let's go Lakers.